Yes, Baba.
ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́ o.
abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́.
abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
àìlágbádé owó kárí yé.
àjọ ní kí ẹ̀mí àgbà òrèrè nílé ayé.
ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà ẹwà náà bá ní kí lọ́jẹ́ òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú
tọmọdé dàgbà ẹwà náà bá ní kí lọ́jẹ́.
ọdọ oníbàṣírí.
orí ìbàdírí orí.
ọdọ.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which the Baba do the jazz? Say the Baba do well for me. I'm a life in company.
ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́ o.
abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́.
abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
àìlágbádé owó kárí yé.
àjọ ní kí ẹ̀mí àgbà òrèrè nílé ayé.
ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà ẹwà náà bá ní kí lọ́jẹ́ òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú
tọmọdé dàgbà ẹwà náà bá ní kí lọ́jẹ́.
ọdọ oníbàṣírí.
orí ìbàdírí orí.
ọdọ.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which the Baba do the jazz? Say the Baba do well for me. I'm a life in company.
ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni Ebi kì í pagún dọjọ́ alẹ́ o.
Abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
Ebi kì í pagún dọjọ́ alẹ́.
Abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
Àìlágbádé owó kárí eré ẹ̀là.
Àjọ ní kí ẹni àgbà òrèrè nílé ayé.
Ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú.
Tọmọdé dàgbà, ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́.
Ó dé olúbàṣírí.
Orí ìbàdírí orí.
Ó dé.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which Baba do the jazz? Shady Baba do well for me. I'm a life is done me.
Ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni. Ebi kì í pagún dọjọ́ alẹ́ o.
Abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
Ebi kì í pagún dọjọ́ alẹ́.
Abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
Àìlágbádé owó kárí eré ẹ̀là.
Àjọ ní kí ẹni àgbà òrèrè nílé ayé.
Ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú.
Tọmọdé dàgbà, ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́.
Ó dé olúbàṣírí.
Orí ìbàdírí orí.
Ó dé.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which Baba do the jazz? Shady Baba do well for me. I'm a life is done me.
Ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni. Ebi kì í pagún dọjọ́ alẹ́ o.
Abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
Ebi kì í pagún dọjọ́ alẹ́.
Abẹ́ni bèrè pàdé ojú òkun.
Àìlágbádé owó kárí eré ẹ̀là.
Àjọ ní kí ẹni àgbà òrèrè nílé ayé.
Ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú.
Tọmọdé dàgbà, ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́.
Ó dé olúbàṣírí.
Orí ìbàdírí orí.
Ó dé.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which Baba do the jazz? Shady Baba do well for me. I'm a life is done me.
Hey everyone. So we are about to start the award ceremony and then the General Assembly, and I'm happy that the awardees are already here and some of the nominators are also here. If you don't mind, please, we should, because we're just eating dinner here, okay? So dinner is just going on here and we'll try to settle in. If you don't mind, you can just give us, we're so sorry, 5 additional minutes for us to settle down. And I promise that we're going to start exactly at 7:40. No African time, no extended African time.
Can you put up the video of the fireworks, because I want to take a photo so I can put it on my Instagram.
We will. That's it. Yeah, we're gonna do that. So we're gonna play that right now. So 5 more minutes, then we're gonna get started. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Àwọn ti wọlé. Àwọn ti wọlé. Máa yà á lè sẹ́yìn rẹ̀.
Ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́ o. Ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́. Àìlágbádé owó kárí eré ẹ̀là. Ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Ọ̀dọ̀ oníbàṣírí. Orí bàṣírí orí. Ọ̀dọ̀.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which Baba do the jazz? Shady Baba do well for me. I'm a life is done.
Ọmọ báwo rẹ ní gbọ́kànlé àtẹ̀rámọ́ṣẹ́ ni ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́ o. Ebi kì í pagún dọ́jọ́ alẹ́. Àìlágbádé owó kárí eré ẹ̀là. Ilẹ̀ tí a rí yẹn òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Òun ló ń bàṣírí òkú tọmọdé tàgbà. Ẹ wá náwó bá ní kí lájẹ́. Ọ̀dọ̀ oníbàṣírí. Orí bàṣírí orí. Ọ̀dọ̀.
Plenty people done the ask. Now which Baba do the jazz? Shady Baba do well for me. I'm a life is done.
mo ṣoríire o ẹlẹ́dàá mi mo dúpẹ́ o.
ọmọ báwo rẹ nígbà.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Saheed Aderito, President of the Lagos Studies Association. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the award ceremony of LSA 2022. For the past 5 years, the LSA has awarded 4 categories of award. One is the LSA Distinguished Scholars Award, LSA Distinguished Personality Award, Best Doctoral Thesis Award, and the Best Graduate Student Paper Award. This year, it's my honor to present to you Professor Karen Baba, winner of the 2022 LSA Distinguished Scholar Award. And I would like to invite Dr. Oluwabunmi Bernard of Obafemi Awolowo University to read our citation. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I was going to say good afternoon. I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Professor Aderito, for this conference and this program generally. And thank you, Professor Baba, for allowing me to nominate you. I'm very grateful. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll start with a few songs from Okuku to just eulogize Professor Baba. So I'll start with Ọmọ olókùkù járelé o, Ọmọ olókùkù járelé, Ọmọ olókùkù járelé o, Ọmọ olókùkù járelé, odò ọtí nílé onílé bàbá rẹ̀ o. Ọmọ olókùkù járelé, Àjíkẹ́ odò ọtí nílé onílé bàbá rẹ̀ o. Ọmọ olókùkù járelé, ọtí ni ẹ wò, ọtí ni ẹ wò mi bó ṣe kún o, ọtí ni ẹ wò, ọtí ni ẹ wò, ọtí ni ẹ wò mi bó ṣe kún o, ọtí ni ẹ wò. It is an honor for me to nominate Professor Karen Ajike Judith Baba, a visiting professor of anthropology at London School of Economics and emeritus professor of African cultural anthropology at University of Birmingham, for the 2022 LSA Distinguished Scholar Award. I have never met Professor Baba in person, but her reputation precedes her. A reputation in form of her numerous books and articles on Yoruba oral literature, particularly Oriki, attests to her scholarly prowess in African language and literature. Notable among these publications is her 1991 book, published by Edinburgh University Press for the International African Institute, that won the Amaury Talbot Prize in 1992, titled I Could Speak Until Tomorrow, Oriki, Women and the Past in a Yoruba Town, a town in Osun State, Nigeria, showcased women as the main performers of Oriki, Yoruba oral praise poetry. I dare say this book was what prompted me to investigate the role of women as not just backups for men in Yoruba traditional religion and during traditional festivals in Yoruba communities, sustainability of Yoruba literature and history in my doctoral dissertation. That was how I met Professor Karen Ajike Judith Baba. I have met her through stories that I have heard in the Department of Linguistics and African Languages, formerly African Languages and Literature, Obafemi Awolowo University, formerly University of Ife, Nigeria, where I studied as a student and where I now teach Yoruba language and literature, as where Professor Baba also bagged her PhD in 1979 and taught Yoruba language and literature for 7 years, from 1977 to 84. I also met her in 2020 on Zoom during one of the webinars sponsored by British Academy, on Yoruba language and have since communicated with her via emails. And let me say that she's been most helpful in connecting me to scholarly tips to improve the quality of my research. She holds a first-class Bachelor of Art degree from Cambridge in 1971 and a diploma in social anthropology from University College London in 1973 before a PhD in Ife. She has spent majority of her career promoting Yoruba language and literature, and as a trained anthropologist, Professor Baba has immersed herself in the culture and oral traditions of Africa, and particularly the Yoruba of Nigeria, which arguably started with her spending her time as a Commonwealth scholar during the field work for her PhD in Okuku, where she spent 37 months. She has left an indelible mark there and was given the chieftaincy title Iyamuye, mother who has insight, of Okuku. And in 2010, she became an honorary citizen of Osun State, Nigeria. The thrust of Professor Baba's scholarship as an anthropologist can be broadly divided into three clusters. The first is her interest in the language and culture of the Yoruba of Nigeria, including oral and written literature, popular culture, religion, local history, and colonial print culture. Second is a comparative anthropology of texts and of African popular culture. And the third is the Yoruba migrant experience in the UK. Since she started her academic career in the early 70s, she has worked as a lecturer, a visiting fellow, a distinguished visiting scholar, a senior lecturer, emeritus professor in many prestigious universities, such as University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Harvard University, University of Witwatersrand, University of Bayreuth, and University of Birmingham, and London School of Economics, amongst others. She has served as a member of the Middle Eastern and African Studies panel between 2005 and 2007, served as a member of the British Academic Publications Committee between 2013 and 2019, served on the board of trustee of the International African Institute since 2016, and so many others. Her dedication to scholarship is evident in the awards she has won that are too numerous to mention. I won't even start. But however, I will mention a few. The Eileen Alexander Prize for Outstanding Performance in English Tripos, Cambridge University in 1971. Herskovits Award of African Studies Association of the US for the generation of plays, Yoruba Popular Life in Theatre in 2000. University Award for Excellence in Doctoral Researcher Supervision in 2012 for her input in the training and mentoring of the next generation of scholars. Paul Hare Prize for the African Studies Association of the USA and the Association for the Preservation and Publication of African Historical Sources for print, culture, and the first Yoruba novel. Between 2000 and 2002, she was elected the president of African Studies Association of the UK, a fellow of the British Academy in 2003, and between 2008 and 10, she was the vice president of the Humanities section of the British Academy. Other indication of her esteem and academic distinction include her appointment as the commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2012 for her services to the African Studies, and the Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2021 for her services in the study of African culture. She received the Distinguished Africanist Award by African Studies Association of the UK in 2018, and in 2019, she received the President's Lifetime Achievement Award by the Royal Anthropological Institute. She has won many research grants. Our recent grant included $20,000 Melon Sawyer Fund and African Heritage Initiative grant with co-conveners at universities of Michigan, Sussex, and Oxford to continue and expand African Print Culture Network in 2011, and the British Academy Newton International Fellowship with Dr. Augustina Adusa Karikari, worth 107,750, 750 pounds in 2013. She has co-authored 10 books, edited several books and special issues of journal, and published over 70 journal articles and book chapters. In her career that has spanned over 5 decades, she has organized and participated in over 50 seminars, workshops, and conferences all over the world, where she has shared her vast research ideas and continues to teach and mentor young and upcoming Africanists in the academia. Based on her admirable record, her service to humanity, and her contributions to the advancement of knowledge globally, I hereby nominate Professor Karen Ajike Judith Baba for the 2022 LSA Distinguished Scholars Award. Thank you very much.
So on behalf of the Board of Directors, of the officers, executives, committees, and the general members of the Lagos Studies Association, it is my pleasure to present the 2022 LSA Distinguished Scholar Award to Professor Karen Baba. So I will now invite Professor Baba to give our own acceptance speech. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Oluwabumi, for that fantastic oriki. And thank you, President, for presiding over this event. Olórí ẹgbẹ́, alága, àtẹ̀yin ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ gbogbo. Mo kí yín kálẹ́ o, ẹ kú jókòó, ẹ sì kú pàdé. Mo dúpẹ́ gidigidi lọ́wọ́ yín fún ọlá ńlá tí ẹ fi dá mi lónìí. Nígbà tí wọ́n fi tó mi létí pé èmi ni èèyàn gẹ́gẹ́ bí distinguished tọdún yìí, bí èèyàn bá ń gẹṣin nínú mi kò ní kọsẹ̀. Ayọ̀ ńlá ni, ayọ̀ aláìròtẹ́lẹ̀, ayọ̀ tó kún aago mi ní àkúnwọ̀sílẹ̀ bí ti orin Dáfídì. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn olóòtú, olùṣọ́, aláṣẹ ẹgbẹ́, ará ìgbìmọ̀ àti ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ gbogbo tí wọ́n fi oyè pàtàkì yìí dá mi lọ́lá. Ẹ ṣeun o, ọpẹ́ mi kò lópin, ayọ̀ á kárí o. President, Chairman, Council members, members of the Lagos Studies Association, thank you. There's no honor that could give me more joy than this one. The Lagos Studies Association is the crucible and showcase for the very best new Nigerian scholarship. In the space of a few years, under the inspiring leadership of President Professor Saeed Aderinto, you've become the indispensable meeting place for original research, for significant debates, and for huge conviviality, which, although I'm very sad not to be there in Lagos, we can feel even on Zoom. So I'm very honored. I'm very proud and also very humbled, very touched, and very delighted to be recognized by the LSA. I first set foot in Nigeria, as Oluwabumi has told you, as a young creature starting out on doctoral studies at UNIFE, as we used to call it then, Great Ife. And in all the decades since then, I've seen Nigerian scholarship blossoming and diversifying with new generations of scholars, many of them represented here, opening up an incredible array of new topics and new approaches. So let me pay tribute to the great colleagues I've been fortunate to have at every stage, and starting with two of my recently departed mentors, the late scholar and cultural ambassador, Professor Olabiyi Babalola Iyae, and the late novelist and playwright, Baba Oladejo Okediji, both of them geniuses, and both of them inspirations to so many of their contemporaries and younger colleagues. So I'm indebted to generations of people, to far more people than I could possibly name. I'd just like to thank all the like-minded people with whom I've worked, I've talked, discussed, joked, shared ideas with over the years. Without the fresh insights and enthusiasm of colleagues, friends in Nigeria and the US and Europe, without all this collegiality, collaboration, conviviality, nothing would have been possible, because ọwọ́ kan kò gbégbá dórí, a kì í fọwọ́ kan pàtẹ́wọ́. So mo pàtẹ́wọ́ fún gbogbo yín. And you are a most generous, inclusive, and inspiring community of scholars. I accept this great honor with heartfelt gratitude. Thank you. Okay.
So the next category of award that we will be presenting is the Distinguished Personality Award. We have given this award each year, and it's my pleasure to invite Lillian to read the citation of Ms. Aduke Gomez, the recipient of the 2022 LSA Distinguished Personality Award.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited and humbled to be reading this today. Aduke Gomez is a writer, a lawyer, a public historian, a distinguished cultural ambassador. She was the keynote speaker at LSA 2021 and has remained one of the most visible personalities in Lagos cultural, literary, intellectual, and creative scenes. From book festivals to photo exhibitions, from public history projects to mental health sensitization campaign, Aduke Gomez has committed significant energy, time, and resources in promoting popular intellectual discourse in Lagos. Since 2017, she has helped the LSA to expand its reach into non-academic practitioners who are equally distinguished creators and disseminators of knowledge. She was the keynote speaker at LSA. She has convened a section featuring filmmakers, the culture and cultural ambassadors, and engaged the unconventional intellectuals and creative shades of Lagos. At LSA 2018 and 19, Aduke Gomez helped organize sessions on mental health in Lagos, chaired sections on public history, and offered critical on-the-spot perspectives that formed the basis of deep intellectual conversations. In many ways, Aduke Gomez has helped the LSA to achieve one of its main missions of creating and sustaining strong intellectual dialogues between academic and non-academic intellectuals. She graduated with an LLB from the University of London in 1986 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1987. She subsequently earned an LLM, master's degree in law, from the University of Lagos in 1993 and went on to begin her career in legal practice with Akindelabor and Co. before moving to work with Udo Udoma and Bello Osagie, where she specialized in commercial law practice and also headed the company's secretariat division. She began working in the legal department of EcoBank Nigeria PLC in 1993. After spending several years in the legal department, she moved to head the General Internal Service Department with responsibilities for the purchasing, storage, maintenance, construction, security, mail dispatch, transport needs, and other ancillary logistics support required by the bank's operations. She worked briefly as the pioneer head of the customer service in the Leadway Penshaw Pension Fund Administrator and returned to EcoBank Nigeria PLC in 2006 as Assistant General Manager. In October 2011, Gomez was appointed to serve the Governor Fashola administration as Senior Special Assistant to the Governor, as well as Secretary to the Hotel Licensing Authority, operating from within the Ministry of Tourism and Intergovernmental Relations. Amongst other duties, she was charged with the responsibility of the registration, licensing, grading, and classification of hotels and other hospitality establishments. She notably attained the compliance with Lagos State hotel licensing law by major hospitality establishments, thus commencing the registration and monitoring of the various establishments, issuing licenses and establishing a reliable database. During this time, she also contributed to the editorial production of the ministry's publication, Lagos, A Visitor's Guide. She has served as a member of the Lagos State History Committee and was a contributor to the committee's second volume publication on the history of Lagos from the earliest times. Following her departure from public service in 2015, Aduke Gomez currently maintains a private practice where, amongst other advisory and legal services, she propagates the use of customer service skills as a tool to grow business. In addition, she has always been a cultural enthusiast and over the years has often utilized her professional skills to assist in artist development within the creative sector. She has also published an anthology of her own poetry, While I Am Here, Let Me Quickly Tell You About, which was featured as a festival book at the Labaf 2017 and Ake Festival 2017. A children's book, Lost and Found in Lagos, the first in the series of The Adventures of Lara and Dara, in collaboration with Biola Alabi Media, was a featured festival book at the Lagos Book and Arts Festival 2019 and was chosen as one of the Channels TV Book Club Top 20 Books for 2019. She was also selected as a participant in the Writing for Children workshop organized by the Goethe Institute in 2019 and is a contributor to the Write the Future project for children's literature published online by Okada Books. Aduke Gomez was able to combine her interest in Nigerian history with her work as consulting producer on the acclaimed Kuramo Productions documentary film on the history of Nigeria, Journey of an African Colony. She is regularly called to speak and moderate on topics related to her interest in history and culture, and these have included sections at Cornell University, the Institute of African and Diaspora Studies at the University of Lagos, the annual conference of the Lagos Studies Association, the Ake Festival, and the Lagos Book and Arts Festival, amongst others. During the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, she founded the 10-page production as an online theater company aimed at supporting and developing new writing. This resulted in the recording of 5 short plays through online theater, through online theater, collaborations between theater professionals from Nigeria, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, Ireland, and South Africa. While all of the plays premiered at the Screen Out Loud film series at Alliance Française in Nigeria, one of them, The Journey Home, has also been screened at the Belgrade Theatre, Coventry, UK, and at the London Irish Centre, UK. In addition, she also currently serves as a chair at the steering committee of Art for Life, an initiative of Lagos State Ministry of Health establishment to introduce the practice of art into the healthcare process. Under her leadership, Art for Life established a collaboration in February 2020 with the Alliance Française in Nigeria to co-host a one-day seminar on stammer awareness and the benefits that art therapy can bring to those who stammer. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Art for Life team brought and accompanied musicians to the various COVID-19 isolation centers each weekend between April and October 2020 to provide entertainment and cheer to both patients and healthcare workers. In May 2021, Aduke Gomez was also instrumental in Art for Life being able to establish a collaboration with the Goethe Institute of Nigeria to co-host a 2-day online seminar which brought together medical and art therapy professionals from Nigeria and Germany to present papers on the benefits of art therapy to mental health challenges, and especially depression and suicide ideations. Aduke Gomez volunteered on the board of Child Lifeline, a charity establishment for the support, rehabilitation, and education of street children. She is also a member of the advisory board of the Open House Lagos, which organizes access for the public to build of architectural note. Please join me as we celebrate the distinguished personality of the year, the beautiful, humble, accomplished, delectable Miss Aduke Gomez.
So on behalf of the Board of Directors, the officers, committees, and the general members of the Lagos Studies Association, it is my pleasure to present the 2022 LSA Distinguished Personality Award to Ms. Aduke Gomez. We now invite Ms. Aduke to give her acceptance speech. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. The president, the council members, the trustees, and all the members of Lagos Studies Association. I'm more than honored and delighted than I can even say to have been awarded this award. And what I think this award tells me, particularly those of you who have listened to how eclectic my CV is that really just do the work. And if you do the work and with serendipity on your side, in fact, does work come first or does serendipity help? I think it's a bit of both. I first came across the Lagos Studies Association in 2017, I believe. I was moderating a Q&A on a book for a friend of mine, Ed Kiezo. And afterwards, during the conversations, a lady came up to me, Professor Abosede George, and that was how I met the Lagos Studies Association. I have truly been honored and enlightened over the past few years to meet so many people from all over the world with such different aspects, and particularly touched as a Lagosian myself to see how many people love and care about this city. I just want to congratulate as well the Lagos Studies Association for continuing their hard work, for continuing to be able to maintain such an inclusive atmosphere where people like myself who are really not academics can feel welcome, be made welcome, and to have their ideas accepted and discussed. It is truly, truly an honor to be able to add this award to my CV. I am honored beyond words. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.
So although LSA 2022 is virtual, we have the privilege of welcoming and of course hosting a couple of LSA members who presented papers and were also involved in pre-conference professional development. First is the so-called University of Wisconsin-Madison with an entire team of, I think, 7 scholars. Led by this team is Professor Matthew Brand, whose book we also presented a few days ago. The graduate student, Michael Osidoro, Onyebuchi Unema, Tolu Akinwole, Rosemary Onyola Kukuola, Prince Vincent Anene, Ayodele Adegbite, and not the last but not the least is Omotola Okunlola, and of course Tolu Adelabu. We also had the privilege of course, welcoming and hosting Dr. David Cassiano, you want to show? From University of Bologna. He organized a panel, and of course, Dr. Emily Brownell from Cambridge University, who is here, and of course, Dr. Ademide Adeluyi and Dr. Jody Benjamin, both of them from University of Riverside, University of California, Riverside. So if I forget any other names, I will let you know. Although the conference is virtual, they came and they've been hanging out with us, and we've been having fun since Monday. So we're now going to continue with the awards ceremony. It's my pleasure to introduce the LSA Best Doctoral Thesis Award. And what we're going to do first and foremost is to of course, invite Dr. Babasha Ide to read his nomination for Dr. Kehinde Adekpeba's doctoral thesis. Please go ahead, Dr. Babasha Ide.
Hello, I hope I'm online. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Am I heard? Oh,
We are hearing you.
I am Babasa Inde Ademuleya, and I happens to be, I'm lucky to be the winner's, excuse me, please. Hello?
We are hearing you, sir.
Hello, good evening.
On the effective and efficient need for synergy. The personal state commander of the Indian.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry for the network issue. I am Babasa Inde Ademuleya, And I happen to be the supervisor of Dr. Adipega, who won the award, whose thesis won the award for LSA. I have known Adipega for almost about 20 years now. And I must say that he has moved from different levels. He had 2 master's degree. The second degree, the master's degree he had was that of Obafemi Awolowo University, where he did his artistry. And since he joined the university, I have found him to be a cool-headed and an intellectual. And because he's also always very willing to pursue whatever goal he has at hand, we have been able to work together. I supervise his master's degree as well as his PhD degree. I mean, the thesis that won the award. And it's a privilege for me also to join your meeting today and to say a big thank you to you for this opportunity that has been given to him. And it is hope that it will not only ginger him to work more, but also to go further in his research. His work that centers on the Egungun in Abeokuta has always been a concern to many of us who are in art historical studies. We've heard of so many researches that were taken that has been done in past. And unfortunately, most of these things have not been updated. There have been a lot of changes over time. And that is the reason why we felt that there is a need for us to look at what exactly has changed and what do we still have in place while we talked about Egungun in Abeokuta. Mind you, when you talk about Abeokuta, Abeokuta is such a cosmopolitan, and it has different sections. And he has been able to look at the variations we have in the Egungun from one section to the other, and has been able to pull things together in such a way that we have what we can rely upon as an updated history of Egungun in Abeokuta. It is my pleasure to congratulate Dr. Adipega on this award. And it is my pleasure as well to congratulate LSA and to thank LSA for this opportunity and the golden opportunity given to Adipega. And I hope he also will see it as a challenge in his research work. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ademide Adelusi Adeluyi, and I'm an assistant professor of history at the University of California, Riverside. I'm going to read the citation and present the award. So, Dr. Adekweba's study identified and examined the designers and producers of Egungun costumes in Abeokuta, a cosmopolitan city of 5 Yoruba subgroups. Classified the identified Egungun types and their costumes, probed into the forms and symbolism of Egungun costumes in the study area, and established the continuity and change in the Egungun costume design and production. These were done with a view to constructing the history of its design and production in the study area. The study underlined the need to capture the dynamic trend of the traditions as affected by factors of social change, such as Western education, Christianity, Islam, importation of exotic fabrics, exposure to foreign cultures, among other things. The study explored the importance of Egungun costuming as a form of art and how it understands the belief of the Yoruba in the existence of the supreme being known as Olodumare, the gods, ancestors, and other spirit beings who occupy the spiritual realm of the Yoruba cosmos. The ancestors who appear physically at different times in the form of Egungun accentuates the fact that even in contemporary times, the spiritual and physical worlds of the people are not permanently demarcated, since there is constant interrelationship between them as exemplified by Egungun traditions. Data for these questions and this study were collected from both primary and secondary sources. The primary data included participants' observation, photographic recordings, and unstructured oral interviews. Oral traditions, proverbs, songs, oriki, Ifa verses, Egungun chants, among others on Egungun tradition, were also used as veritable sources of information. His secondary data were obtained from relevant literature, archival materials, and community day pamphlets, journals, and theses on Yoruba arts and Egungun tradition. The data source for the work were analyzed using formal, biographical, historical, and contextual methods. This incredible study provided historical analysis of the change experienced in the Egungun costume construction and development from pre-colonial, to post-colonial times, using linear and multilinear theories of social change. His findings, among other things, revealed through these theories that the change in Egungun costume was progressive, incremental, and multi-directional. However, to situate the study within the milieu of African philosophy, he explored, among others, the Yoruba worldview as a framework to underscore the relevance of African sayings as indigenous theory for interrogating subjects such as social change as established in this case. Adegbegba's major contribution to the existing body of knowledge on Egungun tradition is offering formal analysis of all the Egungun costumes that are prevalent in Abeokuta by unveiling their symbolism of structures, forms, paraphernalia, icons, and design motifs. This resulted in identification of 16 unique Egungun costume forms derived from the costume's physical attributes and visual properties and diverse symbolic interpretations of the costumes respectively. It also identified 14 Egungun costume designers and provided their profound biographies while highlighting their contribution to Egungun costumes development in the study area. Kind of a lot. You've done so much here. The results showed that over time, different design types and styles have been infused into Egungun costume making among the different subgroups in the Abeokuta, who have lived together for almost 2 centuries in this region. The results also revealed the existence of 3 classes of Egungun in Abeokuta, and these were identified by ownership, disposition, and functions. All the identified classes have consistently experienced continuous change in line with the dynamic dress culture of the people. The results further showed the peculiar Egungun fabric and wooden costumes and their symbolism in Abeokuta. Finally, the study established a linear and multilinear pattern of change in the history of Egungun costumes in Abeokuta. This study concluded that the Egungun costume tradition in Abeokuta is not static and has in fact evolved and continued to attract younger costume makers, thereby sustaining the dynamic tradition, and that in spite of change over time, the tradition still retains some of its old elements. And despite these changes, the Egungun costumes still serve as the receptacles of the ancestors' spirit and medium of entertaining members of society, showing that the tradition, despite contemporary dynamics, are still relevant in strengthening of the Yoruba belief system and the fabric of our society. So, on behalf of the Board of Directors, officers, committee, and members, it is my distinct honor to present the 2022 LSA Best Doctoral Thesis Award to Dr. Kehinde Adegbegba for his thesis, Continuity and Change in the Egungun Costumes in Abeokuta, Nigeria. I would like to invite Dr. Adegbegba to present his really incredible work by an acceptance and also offers an acceptance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm very delighted to be here, and I'm very happy to be the winner of this Best Doctoral Thesis Award 2020 by LSA. I want to thank the LSA, the president, the board of directors, and the committee members who consider me worthy of this award. And I must also thank all my lecturers, those who have taken me through the stages of development, right from when I had my polytechnic education in fine arts to university education. And particularly, I have to recognize the role played by my supervisor, Dr. Babasayinde Ademuleya, first and foremost, for guiding me through right from the time I was doing my master's degree. I have specialized in community arts, whereby performance and costume of Egungun is very paramount, and I wish to continue on this area. And I also want to say that his guidance through the writing of the thesis has brought this achievement to me. And while I was doing the work, I tried to create a unique style of writing. And I think he encouraged me to continue in this direction. And I want to thank God for giving me the ability to start and complete the thesis. And it's my pleasure to be joined with other winners of this 2022 LSA award. I appreciate it. And I want to say that it's my best award so far. And I think, as I said on my Facebook page, this is going to be an impetus for me to do more scholarship. So I thank everybody who are listening to me. And I want to thank the LSA for showcasing my words through this award. Thank you very much. God bless.
So this year, through the generous assistance of the British Academy and the cooperation and hard work of the African Studies Association of the United Kingdom and the Social Science Research Council, the LSA was able to have a writing retreat for 23 Nigeria-based scholars. These scholars include PhD students and recent PhDs in the early stages of their career. They received 6 nights of hotel accommodation here in where we have. They also received hands-on professional guide on how to work through non-predatory publishing. So it is my pleasure to present the 23 Nigeria-based scholars who were part of the 2022 writing retreat. Special appreciation goes to Dr. Kalipos for facilitating this and making this happen for us. So in addition to these, so in addition to this virtual certificate presentation, we actually have hard copy of these certificates for all the retreaters. And in immediately after this, the next event, which is the annual LSA Assembly, General Assembly, We're going to have a closing reception for all the 23 retreaters and a formal presentation of the certificate to them. And we're going to have this because Dr. Ademide Adelusi Adelui and Dr. Jody Benjamin, both of University of California, Riverside, endowed the LSA with some US dollars for suya. So we now have a special endowment. It's going to be named Dr. Ademide Adelusi Adelui and Dr. Jody Benjamin LSA Endowment for Suya. So we would invite, so we welcome the retreaters and their friends to the seminar room upstairs for us to have the party after this. So this ends the awards ceremony. We now move to the General Assembly of the Lagos Studies Association. And I would start by presenting the annual report of the Lagos Studies Association, and then welcome your suggestions about the next stage in the evolution of our association. Thank you. 1 second, please. So some of the texts you're going to be reading on the screen are familiar. It tells you the history of the association, how we started in 2016 with a conference co-organized by Abosede George, Said Aderinto, and Ademide Adelusi Adelui. The conference featured about 9 to 10 panels, and that was the history of the LSA. In spring 2017, the board of directors, committees, officers came on board, and in the same year, in summer, we were registered as a coordinated organization of the African Studies Association of the United States. The following year, in May 2018, we became an independent, fully independent association when we got registered by the Corporate Affairs of Nigeria as an association. And last year in spring, the LSA was registered as a non-profit organization in the United States. These transformations went hand in glove with significant expansion in our membership base, at the same time with activities at bigger professional associations, such as the African Studies Association of the United States and the African Studies Association of the United Kingdom. Our membership base increased tremendously. In 2016, when we started this conference, we had about 9 to 10 panels. In 2021, we had 120 panels over 5 days, about 600 presenters from 160 international affiliations and 63 Nigeria-based affiliations. In all, at least we know, based on our records, that more than 5,000 virtual people or virtual humans attended the LSA in 2021. Our deliberate investment in Africa-based scholars, as well as global scholars at different stages of their career, is yielding the right results. Our members have received significant fellowships, international graduate education, and they've had significant improvement in their intellectual feasibility. Some of our members who were graduate students 5 years ago are now entering into tenure track positions across the world. Some of them who were undergraduate 5 years ago are now in graduate school, and some of them who actually do not know how to write an abstract, talk less of a journal article, are now being able to do that. 5 years ago, many of the books that we celebrated today did not exist as books. So the LSA has, in its own way, contributed significantly in the professional development of scholars, regardless of their location and regardless of their field, and of course, regardless of the stages they have in their career. I'm just going to be run through this so that later I'm going to send all this to everyone. The LSA's model is a unique one because our interest is to bring non-academics into conversation with academic scholars. And I'm very happy that Ms. Aduke Gomez reiterated this. And I'm happy that the relationship has continued and has continued to work stronger. Our model is to continue to expand on our reach, to continue to serve scholars regardless of their location and regardless of their field and of course stages in their career. Our leadership structure, which we're going to talk about shortly, allows for consistency. When we built the LSA 5 years ago, we built the officers, the board of directors, and the committees to serve for 5 years. We did this because we want a significant level of consistency and because we believe that serious mentorship, serious professional development requires serious work. Today, our investment has produced significant results, not only in the way we complement higher education in Nigeria, but at the same time, the ways in which scholars all over the world have continued to associate with us and continue to provide free of charge their intellectual resources, their time, and their energy. We thank them. The LSA conference is our flagship, is the structure through which we build our institutions. We have held this conference since 2016 earlier, and the conference has expanded tremendously. New fields of ideas, new ways of thinking about the present and the past, and new scholars are bringing new things to us every time. And in addition to our conference, because in addition to our conference, this table tells you our keynote speakers over the time, the number of panels we have organized, the titles of our keynotes, and of course, the number of, the LSA panel, the LSA conference does not evolve naturally. We build the program. Building the LSA program involves carefully balancing multiple fields and carefully recognizing the perspective that scholars, regardless of their location and their stages of their career, bring to us. Unlike many conferences where conference programs evolve through the submission of abstract, in LSA we build it, we create it. We create it through celebratory panels that reward scholars who have worked so hard for their distinguished career, by selecting books for book panels, by also selecting the right non-academic interventions, especially writers, performers, policymakers, inviting them to our panels. We build the LSA conference by recognizing that teaching is significant for professional development, and the best teachers are always the best researchers. Of course, the best researchers are also the teachers. We want to be able to complement teaching in Nigerian institutions through seminars that focus on pedagogy. We have seminars on fundraising, funding, fellowship application, graduate school application, as well as book publishing. We believe that quality journal publishing and quality book publishing are the strongholds of modern and 21st century scholarship, not only in Africa, but across the world. We have other projects beyond the conference, and I'm just going to run through this. We have a mentorship program that allows the senior scholars who have reached the peak of their career to engage, and of course, to engage with Nigeria-based graduate students. Each year, this group meets generally, and of course, they meet individually with their mentees. In 2020, the LSA Women's Mentoring Group organized 2 well-attended webinars on sexual harassment in African institutions, well-attended. And this year, again, the group met in a well-attended webinar, which formed part of the pre-conference event. We've always had events like panels at the African Studies Association of the United States and the United Kingdom. The first one we had at the ASA of USA was in 2017, another one in 2018, another one in 2019. Unfortunately, COVID did not allow us to have one in 2021. These conferences were virtual, but the cost of attending the conference was so expensive that most of our Nigeria-based members, they could not afford $250 as conference registration fee. So we pulled out. So we pulled out of the virtual ASA 2020 and 2021. But good news is that the 2022 ASA is going to be in Philadelphia. It's going to be face-to-face, and they have accepted 7 of our panels, actually 7 panels. So, and another good news is that for the first time, LSA panels at the ASA will be organized on hybrid basis. That would give our members across the world the opportunity to listen to paper presentations under the auspices of the LSA or LSA sponsored paper presentation. We also had LSA also had a panel at the ASA UK conference in 2018. But unfortunately, in 2020, COVID did not allow the conference to happen. So we have responded to COVID. The role of the impact of COVID in the LSA is a paradox. On the one hand, it's prevented us from hosting the 2020 conference, On the other hand, it exposed us to the possibilities of digital technology in the production and dissemination of knowledge. Our conference program in 2021 and 2022 were far more expansive, and the quality is far much higher because we're able to bring in or invite scholars who would not be able to travel to Nigeria. I think the future of this conference, like most other conferences, is going to be hybrid. And we're hoping to be able to deploy the right technology to have an hybrid conference next year. But of course, provided ASU does not go on strike. So as we continue, another way we have responded to COVID is that in 2020 October, we had 4 webinars on graduate school education in Europe and North America, well attended. We usually have a panel on that at the conference, but because the conference now happened in 2020, we decided to just have it on webinar basis. In October 2020, the LSA made its first official statement on a national issue, the End SARS protest and brutality. We also continue with this with a webinar on the same topic. And last but not the least, in December 2021, the LSA co-organized 4 webinars on women and banditry in northern Nigeria with Professor Mojiba Olufunke Okome, the Social Science Research Council, and the Nigerian Studies Association. These 4 webinars were aimed at bringing together scholars and women in the civil society and non-government organizations to shed light on the different phases and dynamics of violence against women in the insurgency in northern Nigeria, especially in northern Nigeria and of course across the country. Last year, the LSA made a major move by incorporating itself in the United States. We're now fully incorporated as an organization in the United States. I'm going to talk a little bit later about the gains of this incorporation. In terms of funding, the biggest funder of the LSA is the British Academy. No Nigerian organization funds the LSA. We have tried our best to contact or connect with test fund, but the bureaucracy is not helping us. And we do not have any formal or official relationship with the Lagos government. We have tried our best, but the bureaucracies are not helping us. So the largest chunk of LSA funding, external funding, comes from the British Academy. We had the funding in 2018, 2019, and of course, 2021 and 2022. This funding goes directly into professional development for Nigeria-based scholars, seminars. And last year, we were able to continue with this and deploying the funding, not only to buy 15 gigabytes of internet for 500 based Nigeria participants, but to record hundreds of videos across some parts of Nigeria. We went to University of Obasanjo University. We did one in Ibadan. Of course, we are actually like, we have the videos, about 200 of them. Then the Nigerian Institute of the French, the Nigeria Office of the Press Institute for Nigeria also gave us some funding last year, the tune of 300,000 naira. That's from IFRA Nigeria. The remaining part of LSA funding comes from membership dues paid by members. Good. So paid by members. We opened a Nigeria account in 2018. Since then, we have not spent a dime from that account. We don't even have a check. We don't even have a debit card. And right now we have about 7.3 million naira, over $10,000 in it. We hope that we'll continue to grow this money into maybe an endowment without having to touch it. Then we have 2 live membership. One of them was LASTRAP and the African Studies, Institute of African Studies or Center of African Studies at Benguro University of the Negev. And in terms of dollars, I think we have about $30,000 in our US bank account. That is our economic strength. If you have questions, let me know. So marching forward, the future of this association is very bright. We continue to build networks with colleagues and institutions across the world. The popularity of the LSA conference, our flagship program, has continued to grow. This guarantees that our conference will continue to shape the trajectory of African scholarship while also mentoring up-and-coming scholars. We continue to collaborate with journal editors and book series editors, and of course, funding agencies to provide resources for the professional development of scholars across the world, especially Nigeria-based intellectuals. We plan to develop specialist research projects that would supply direct research money to scholars and generate scholarly publication. This year, we'll provide direct financial support to Nigeria-based members presenting papers at the African Study of the United States. We're going to pay for their registration fee, and that's a big deal. That's an average of $250 or $200 in investment. We'll continue to work with non-academic intellectuals like Ms. Adike Gomez to bring their expertise, ideas, knowledge to the LSA, and to also sustain the relationship that is inevitable between academics and non-academic scholars. From August, the LSA will have its own first physical secretariat in North America, courtesy of Florida International University. Sahid Adeinto's new workplace. The new LSA secretariat will be equipped with a computer, thank you. So the new brand new LSA secretariat will be equipped with a computer, with a printer, and office supplies by Florida International University and R1 institution in Miami. You should come and visit me anytime. So Said Adento will admit a PhD student who will work as a graduate assistant for the LSA. This is the first major US-based institution investment in the Lagos Studies Association. This development puts the LSA in the league of prominent professional organizations with physical base, home base in American University. The advantages of this new development also include being able to monitor the progress of the association at the end of Said Adeto's inevitable tenure. So thank you. So that is the annual reports of the Lagos Studies Association. The other thing I would like to say is that there's need to have conversation about leadership and transitioning. 5 years ago, when the founding officers and the board of directors came aboard, we wanted a significant level of consistency because we consider the LSA to be more than an association, but a project, a serious project. So this summer, the first term of the foundational members, foundational committees and board ends. And I just left a 2-hour meeting of the board of directors. The meeting lasted for 2 hours. And the most important conversation we had in that meeting is transitioning. The board of directors, who include distinguished scholars across the world, worried about succession. They worried about the fate of the association after this first term. Our constitution allows the executive to run for maximum of 2 terms. What it basically means is that the current officers can actually also serve for maximum of under 5 years. The other conversation is about the board of directors. The board of directors, the committee's maximum term is 5 years. The board of directors have significant conversation over whether the tenure of the board of directors should also be extended, given the fact that although we are just like a child who is running very fast instead of crawling, if that is a good way of explaining our situation. Although we are making significant progress, this association is still at the infancy of its development. We are still growing. So what seems to be the conclusion is that the board of directors have given me they asked me to work with the bylaw revision. We do have a bylaw revision committee to engage with transitioning from the current executive into a new one, whether the current executive, the possibility of having an election, even if the current executive is going to continue for another time, a maximum of two times, which is 10 years maximum, we still have to have an election. So if you are interested in the leadership of the LSA, you should let us know. So where we are at the moment is this: one, the executive, myself, Sahid, I will contact the bylaw revision committee to develop, to have a meeting over questions of transition And then later we will announce the possibility, the election. We're going to have election. And if you're interested, you should let us know. And we're just going to take it from there one at a time. But there's no anxiety. I think one of the concerns of the board of directors is possible anxiety over the future of the association in terms of leadership change. There's no anxiety here. I think we just need to gradually and systematically move from one period of our evolution into another period of our evolution. So if you have any questions, suggestions, and concerns, please let us know. Thank you so much. I'll be here to answer your questions, please. Questions? Okay, I think one person is raising their hand. You can also post your question in the chat. Okay, good. Please go ahead, Ngozi. Go ahead, please. Please mute yourself. Please go ahead. Okay, I think she's not having the right hold on the technology. Any other questions? If you have, you can post your question on the chat. If you have one person is only Ngozi's hand is up, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Okay, what question? Okay, I think there's a question here. One, okay. During the last year assembly, we were promised certificate of attendance, but I was not given. I did not know if it will be same this year. The LSA does not have a paid staff. All our helpers, including this guy, he came from Geneva on his own ticket. So we focus and use our energy productively. We don't have a paid staff, and hopefully with my move to Florida International University and a paid graduate assistant, because graduate assistants don't be paid by the university, they would be able to do things like certificate of attendance and other things that are cool. But for now, our energies are not limitless. So we are focusing our energy on the things that actually matter. The point, I'm not saying that the certificate of attendance is not important. And I expect some people to be jealous that the people for the retreat got a beautiful certificate that we displayed. I think I agree that what is good for one is good for all. We're gonna try again to see if we can get that out. But we have a limitation to the kinds of time, to how we use our time. Our volunteers are graduate students, and I don't like getting graduate students to be overwhelmed or overburdened by LSA responsibility and obligation. But so let's see what happens this year. So this year, another question. Okay, this year, we did not get data like last year to facilitate attendance. Yes, because each time we get funding, we have protocols for funding. We don't determine how we actually, we determine the kind of project that helps us achieve our goals with the funding. But we also have to move the idea of the funding around for maximum output. So this year, our main targets are the 23 Nigeria-based scholars for the retreat. That is our main investment this year. And that's a big investment to give 23 people 6 nights of hotel accommodation, feed them, and also provide some resources to aid their scholarship. So unfortunately, the data thing did not work this year because it's not part of the way we wrote the proposal. So each year, so I don't write the proposal anyway. Dr. Kalikos writes the proposal. She is the engine house of LSA funding with the British Academy. I don't. So each time once we write the proposal, then we write what we want to do with the money, and we do exactly what we. So last year, the data thing was part of the proposal for last year. And of course, we did it. We have the records of those who got the data, their phone number, everything, because we collected all these things electronically. But this year, the data is not part of the proposal. Our main target this year is the retreat people, and I think they had a blast. So what else? Another question? Let's see. Is there, okay. What writing fellowship or research agenda does LSA have for PhD students in Europe and places of Nigeria? And I mean, in terms, so if you follow the LSA Facebook page, we post opportunities. Many LSA members who have studied in Europe, in the United States for 4 years, they actually know the fellowship available to international students. So some of them include SSRC. There's an SSRC dissertation completion fellowship available to international students from Africa. There's the Melon Foundation. Some of those who have received this award include Gabriel Bangbose, Abdubasir Kassim, and Esther Ajayi Lowo. These are members. So the point of emphasis is that we share news about fellowship opportunities for international students based in Nigeria. And like I said at the beginning, the LSA serves a diverse community of intellectuals at different stages of their career and across the world. And some of our investment in international students includes the seminars we have. You also have to remember that we have the pre-conference fellowship featuring agencies that grant research funding. So we did that this year. Hopefully we'll be able to do that again next year. Any other question? Can the certificate be soft copy? Yeah, even if the certificate is going to be soft copy, you must have to do it, right? The problem is not printing. I mean, it's not a lot of money to print these certificates. The question is the labor. And like I said, we are more interested in using our energy creatively and judiciously. We don't have limitless energy, and all our volunteers are also PhD students who have a lot of, who need to focus on their education. So I can't promise certificate of attendance for those who attended the conference this year. I know people love certificates. Certification is important in Nigeria. And I just don't want LSA to be under cash and carry conference, right? You know, it's not always like certificates is the only evidence. There's a lot of evidence of why you came to the LSA. All the papers, the presentation, the discussion, those should be really very important. So I'm not promising that, but we'll see what happens. Okay, thank Dr. Kainde said, suggest the ESCO. There's also suggest that the ESCO should continue their work. Yes, again, we have the board of directors meeting lasted for 2 hours. That is the longest board of directors meeting we've ever had. And at the center of this meeting, at the center of conversation was transition. All the members are, I won't say worried. All the members they took the question of transition very seriously, and I will continue to update LSA members about where we are in terms of transition. So another questions from AAA is, what will be the theme of the conference for next year? So we have many more ways of coming up with themes, and honestly speaking, this is a comparative. This is a complementary work. We have the LSA conference committee that I report to regularly, and there was a year we actually had the kind of the crowdsourcing for themes in which we asked LSA members to tell us what they want, and we received themes. So if you have any suggestion about what should be the theme of the LSA conference in 2023, let us know. Preparation for LSA conference lasts for at least 10 months between one and the other. So although we're all exhausted, but we are very convinced that the work we do is significant to the professional development of the community we serve. And the energy to run the LSA, the energy that Professor Akim Akinwale deploys, the energy that Professor Zaid deploys, and of course, the energy that Dr. Susan Rosenfield, who is the LSA treasurer, deployed, the energy that all the volunteers, graduate students who work for the LSA deploy is not inexhaustible. However, the kind of work we do and the role that we play in the professional development of scholars across the world is why we have never been tired of running this association and why we have not been tired of hosting this conference. Many people have actually told me that this conference is not sustainable, but now it's sustainable because of the help that we receive from scholars across the world. Scholars who have continued to trust our judgment about the need to do something critical about numerous problems in terms of professional development, production of knowledge, gender imbalance, and so many crises of knowledge production in Africa. So the energy and the motivation to keep doing what is categorically time-consuming and energy-consuming comes from the fact that our colleagues, senior colleagues, contemporaries, and everyone are convinced that what we do at LSA is very important and we should continue to do it. So if you have any suggestion about the next, the LSA 2023 is going to happen again if we're still alive. If there's no, what do you call this thing that happens? So I mean, that's just, so I can assure all our friends, colleagues, and members that we will pull off next year. Next year is going to be hybrid, provided ASU does not go on strike, and we're going to pull off another spectacle next year. Yeah. So another question is, where are the videos? See, LSA has we have a 13 terabyte hard disk where all our videos since 2017 are stored. Like I said, we don't have a paid staff, and all those who are helping us work for free on volunteer basis. Now that I'm moving to FIU and we would have a paid graduate assistant, then we can begin to organize the video and structure a way to make it available. So as I'm speaking to you right now, we're already saving all the videos of this conference already, as I'm speaking to you now, right now, because they will kick us out of this seminar room tomorrow morning. So we are storing the video now. So in a nutshell, all the videos are saved. Hundreds of them, maybe going to 1,000 now, are all saved. And hopefully we would be able to arrange them in a consumable format, either through YouTube or other channels. So Dr. Usochukwu, do you want to go ahead and ask a question? Good. So let's check another question. Oh, I don't know how. So Mr. Akoyemi, is more than that. I don't know what that question is not, I don't understand that question really. So it's more than that. Oh, you mean, oh, I understand. So the LSA has expanded its thematic focus from a conference heavily in the humanities to the social sciences. See, one of the things we do each year is to have diverse offerings. It's deliberate. Like I said, LSA conference program does not evolve naturally. It's a creation. It's a creation. I'm happy that Mr. Akoyemi, who is an entrepreneur and a pharmacist, organized a panel on public health. This is the first time that we're having a panel of that type. Thank you so much for organizing that panel. And I was on it and I discovered it was a very successful panel. So I think if you want to see more of what you do, then you should help us do it. Just the way you have brought in your colleagues in the public health, some of the participants were actually medical doctors, biochemists, medical doctors, and I know we had 3 pharmacists. That's one of the most creative panels at LSA 2022. And thank you so much for using your ideas, for bringing up with that panel. So what I would say in a nutshell is that there's a limit to what we can do in terms of bringing in new fields. We would always continue to depend on our members and friends and colleagues like Mr. Okoyemi, who is a pharmacist, to organize special panels that would expand our offerings. I think that your panel bridges the gap, if the long gap between public health, the way it is seen in the public, and public health, the way it is seen scientifically. So what I would only say is that you should help us expand our reach to your community, and with the hope that next year, instead of having one panel on public health, we should probably be having 4, 5, or 10. In addition to that area, we are making concerted efforts to also work our way into more fields in the social sciences, and of course, the field of multidisciplinary studies broadly defined. And we're seeing that in the past LSA, for example, Professor Zaid organized 3 panels on library. She brought our own people, 3 panels on library, because she's a librarian, the current university librarian at the University of Lagos. And that's expanded the program of LSA 2021. Also in the past, Professor Akim Akinwale also brought people from the management sciences. He facilitated multiple panels. And the reason we have a lot of librarians attending LSA conference, scholars, librarians from University of Ibadan, librarians from University of Lagos, is because Dr. Zaid is bringing them. The same applies to the reason why we have people from the management sciences, Professor Akim Akinwale, bringing them. So in the past, we have consistently deployed our human resources and our network and social relations to build a conference by bringing a different perspective. And we're only asking our members not just to come to the LSA conference, but to also at the same time bring in their people. The same applies to Professor Tai Balawansen. I mean, the scope of our conference in terms of urban planning, urban studies has expanded tremendously because we have Professor Tai Balawansen bringing our own people every year. I mean, non-academic intellectuals, chairs panels, bring them, organize our own panels each year. And this year we have 2 celebratory panels, 2 panels to celebrate our great accomplishment and promotion to full professor. So if our members and our friends continue to bring in their own people, then that would be nice. And even Dr. Keidade Pegba, who is an art historian, also organized a panel, bringing in our own friends from our own department and across other departments in visual art. So the point in emphasis is that there's a limit to what we can do in terms of diversifying our field. But instead of only you coming to our panel, why don't you bring your students? Why don't you bring your entire department? Why don't you bring your entire field? And if we continue to do that, then the offerings of the conference would expand tremendously. Additional questions? So I think that because we have already exhausted all your energies, appreciation, I would like to thank Professor Yetunde Zaid, Professor Akim Akinwale, Dr. Susan Rosenfield, for working with me for the past 5 years that the inaugural executive of officers of the LSA started. It takes a lot of maturity, professionalism to build an institution that connects Africa-based scholars with their colleagues across the world. And many people thought the LSA is not possible, but it was possible not only because we have a mission that is very consistent with the need and the desire of everyone across the world, but also because we have people like Professor Zaid, like Professor Akinwale, who actually help us not only to bridge the physical gap in the relations between scholars in Nigeria and abroad, but to secure major resources. We are popular in UNILAG today because Professor Zaid and Professor Akinwale help us. So my appreciation goes to them. I would also like to appreciate Dr. Habib Sani of Lagos State University. Without Dr. Habib Sani, we're not going to have any leg at LSA. I know that Dr. Sani is not still happy with me, that I'm not doing enough, and I know he wants something in terms of making sure we can have the LSA conference at LSA. He has blackmailed me many times on that, but the good thing about Dr. Sani is that he doesn't give up on me, which is great. And each time we talk, it shows the highest level of maturity and professionalism in recognizing the infrastructural deficiency and the logistic problem that will make hosting an LSA conference at last difficult. You know, there's a difference between when you understand the problem and when colleagues professionally with the highest level of maturity and intelligence accept the fact that having an LSA conference at LSA would have significant infrastructure and logistic problem. I thank Dr. Sonny for respecting that. And I thank you for his maturity, for understanding the challenges of organizing a conference in LASU. I would also like to thank all the administrators at Lagos State University, at University of Lagos, especially the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Gundipe, for making sure that each time we need resources. The resources that Unilag deploys for LSA runs into millions. People always ask all the time, how are we able to feed thousands and thousands of people thousands of people over 5 years? Many people even think that our conference is not sustainable because we feed a lot, we eat a lot. The reason we are able to charge 10,000 naira for the Nigeria-based scholars and $100 for international, that has remained the same for 5 years, is because University of Lagos gives us venue free of charge. That way, millions of naira that could have been used to secure venue goes into strategic and important things such as food. And food socialization has helped us to build our network. Those who don't even know how to talk to people in network are now doing it because we have compelled them to eat with people they don't want to talk to. so that is it. I would also like to thank Professor Tunji Aziz for giving this year's keynote address. We are very grateful to him. This year's internet is very superb. I mean, you guys see me talking for the past 1 hour. It's because we have a new internet company that supplied our internet. The stability is incredible. I've not gone out of transmission as it was last year. So I would like to thank Mr. Kehinde, our technician, who has been with us since, come and show face now. So this is Mr. Kenny. Yeah, he's been helping us. So he's the technician from Junisat Cable, the guy, they provided us with the internet. He's been around and helping to make sure that, so that's why our technology this year worked at the rate of maybe 95% efficiency. I would like to thank you so much. So I'm still going to write a review about them, and I would like to encourage everyone to patronize them for us. I beg. So who else? I would also like to thank our hotel, NSPRI. We have used this hotel for 5 years, and we get a lot of concession. Basically, we can do whatever we like. That's just it. They let us do whatever we like. We do things that other hotels should not allow us to do. We bring in our own food. Can you imagine? Yeah. I don't know of many hotels that will let you bring outside food. But LSA, we're able to bring our own food. We're able to do so many things that most hotels will not allow us to do. So I would like to thank NSPRI Guest House for, again, hosting us again and giving us electricity 24 hours. Any other thanking? And if I forget anyone, because yeah. So last but not the least, I would like to thank our volunteers. But I would like to thank our volunteers. They include, I will set out their names. To me here is Toye Adegoji. Toye Adegoji is an underlevel student at the University of Ibadan. He's studying law. We have Lillian Izeogu, who just finished a master's in music. We have Emmanuel Adebiyi, who is a underlevel history UI. We have Tolani Onike, who just finished NYSC from UI. We have Titilayo Ogunbiyi, who is still in Unilag history. We have Rashid Azan, who is completing his master's at Leipzig University in Germany. We have Joseph Ololajulo, who is an underlevel history student at the University of Lagos. We have Joseph Akiniyi, who has been working with LSA forever, and hopefully is going to be joining Cornell University and working with BIFI. Then we have Miss Williams, the wife of Mr. Sean Williams. Our spouses are also helping us. They help us a lot. And I should probably start with my wife. So also, special shout out to my wife, Olamide Popola. I will do it. So I would like a special shout out to my wife, Olamide, but I will go back to that. So then we have Busayo Osijo, who is a PhD student at the Olabisi Onabanjo University at Galway. And of course, this black-looking man, Sean Williams, who has been working with LSA. Then Tolulope Adelabu is doing, she's going to start another master's program at the University of Wisconsin, Madison. Then we have our sister, Tosin Adelabu, who is 100-level student, also at the University of Lagos. Then we have Usuyi Adeleye, who studied history at the University of Benin. And of course, Kehinde Samuel Oluwakayode, who got his master's from the Department of English at the University of Lagos after a bachelor's degree from Osita University. But I'll go back to the acknowledgement I was trying to make earlier before I had to go back. So I would like to appreciate my wife, Olamide Pokuola Aderito, for, I don't know, I don't want to start getting emotional. Nonetheless, so thanks so much, my wife. I really appreciate all the support. So if there are any questions, if you have any other questions, email us, send us an email. So on behalf of the board of directors, the officers, the committees, and all members of the Lagos Studies Association, it is my pleasure to declare the 2022 LSA conference officially ended. See you next year.